Welcome back, everyone. And today we are focusing on the value of time in understanding carbon contracts. We will learn how to use discounting to understand present values and look at some examples of the payments for different programs. These examples can help landowners think about the trade-offs for each type of forest management program. It is important to help folks understand trade-offs. The first thing they really need to wrap their head around is the value of time and what discounting does. If we use an analogy, such as your mortgage or car loan, then it starts to make sense about how interest rates work. Discounting works in a similar way, and it allows us to bring back future values to our time. The potential revenues in the future can then be compared with other options today using the same baseline. So everything is equal, and this is really great for carbon contracts because some contracts might be 10 years or some might be 20 years. So it allows us to understand those values when some revenues are received much further in the future than other times with other contracts. There are two key financial concepts that forest owners should at least be aware of: present value and land expectation value. Present value is the value of future cost and revenues per unit area adjusted back to today's dollars, usually using a discount rate of around 3 to 4% for forest. It helps you understand what those future cash flows are worth right now. Land expectation value takes it a step further. It calculates the net present value by subtracting future cost and determining the optimal rotation age for timber. Essentially, what your forest is worth over the long term, even across generations. This is especially useful for legacy planning, helping you access how to maintain the value of your forest estate into the future. Being aware of these tools helps landowners make more informed financial decisions and better evaluate long-term options for their land. Now we are going to look at some examples of this. We are going to compare some alternative forest land investments. One is just timber production in a kind of the classic pine plantation style because it allows the number to be calculated in a straightforward way. And we are going to compare that with reforestation. In timber production, you get paid for wood products. With reforestation, you are getting paid for the carbon sequestration. But in this case, there is no harvesting activity. For the afforestation project, you need to consider the establishment cost and the value of wood products from timber production. For the reforestation project, you need to account for the value of carbon payments, which I have set it at $10 per acre, which is about what the payment values are right now. Then you have to compare both projects at around a 25-year timeline at a 4% interest rate. Here, afforestation and timber production are examples of two strategies. We will also explore the delayed harvest strategy, which combines both. In this case, you grow trees for timber production, but also delay the harvest for 5 years to sequester carbon. During that 5-year delay, you receive carbon payments, while the value of the wood products is realized over a 25-year period. So there are two distinct time frames at play here, with different income streams and payment values. This is where stacking comes into play, combining those revenue sources. So if you are in a forest economics class, you have seen these kind of tables and figures. In these figures, there are different wood products and their estimated volume per acre in the stand and their value. Then you get a total value per acre based on the projected wood products that would come from that. Table 2 here shows the first hypothetical scenario. You see that there is a total value of like $8,000. And this is an extremely productive / pine stand. Discounting the present value for 25 years, that $8,000 is more like $4,100. In the table, you have to take into account that there were all these costs involved. There were establishment cost, fertilization, and other annual cost. The total present value of cost also has to be taken into account. Now we are taking a present value of about $4,000 per acre, but you subtract about $1,400 in cost. Thus, the total net present value is about $2,700 per acre. Now let's go to the next scenario and say, okay, we are planting trees, not for harvesting, but just to sequester carbon and getting paid about $10 per acre. Here we are looking at a 25-year schedule that tracks carbon storage using growth and yield modeling. On the left, you see years 1 through 25, and every 5 years we measure the total carbon stored based on the volume of wood in the stand. From that, we estimate annual carbon growth, assign it a value of $10 per acre, and then discount each year's payment to calculate its present value. Early on, especially in the first 5 years, carbon growth is minimal, sometimes even zero, because the stand is just getting established and there is high mortality risk. That's why carbon payments usually don't begin until around year 5. As the stand matures, growth increases. By year 25, estimated payments rise to about $22 per acre. But since that's far in the future, its present value is still around $10. The bolded $320 per acre you see here is the total discounted value over the full 25 years. So the key takeaway here is most of the carbon value comes later in the cycle, near harvest, when trees are larger, growth is higher, and discounting has less impact. So let's keep that in mind as we go to our final example. And that is this delay in harvest scenario. So here we are only taking into account 5 years. You can see on the left that the volume of carbon is significantly higher. And the difference is like 2 to 3 tons per year. We multiply that by $10 per acre, then we get into discount in just 5 years. Now the payment levels are significantly higher, around $20 to $23 per acre. But we are only being doing it for 5 years. So total is $114. So here are some take-home messages. Right now, timber production is still the most valuable land use. Studies show that carbon payments only start to compete with timber when they reach around $50 per acre, and that's if you are planting trees specifically for carbon sequestration. A more practical strategy is leasing land for restoration. Lease payments offer a more reliable income stream in the short to medium term over the next 5, 10, or even 20 years. Whereas carbon payments from reforestation projects take much longer to become significant. Another effective approach is delaying harvest. You still harvest eventually, but by postponing it a few years, you can take advantage of peak carbon storage and enter payment programs right before the scheduled harvest. That way, you get carbon payments during those high growth years, then still earn revenue from timber. But the key question is, how long is that delay? Most carbon contracts don't ban harvesting entirely. They just require the forest to stay above a certain baseline. So limited harvesting is allowed as long as it does not drop below that threshold. Ultimately, landowners have to decide if they will still be around and able to benefit by the time the delay ends and the harvest happens. As we wrap up today's video, we have few reflection questions for you to consider. First, we ask you to think about the upfront cost associated with forest management in your area. It is also good to consider how presented discounted values in your programs can help make landowners understand the true value of programs. Thank you for joining today's video. In general, there are a lot of things landowners consider when deciding to enter a carbon program, and displaying these options can give landowners an idea of how they want to use their land by knowing how to present their choices. If you are watching this video on YouTube, we encourage you to check out our free online educator course. If you are taking the course, here are a few reminders for you. Make sure to complete the evaluation survey and comprehension check at the end of the module. On next video, we are going to go over some case studies to practice short of applying these concepts, and we are going to look into the carbon contracts in a little more detail. Thank you.